It's a scene we all know too well. It's exactly 3:07 p.m. You're staring at your computer screen, and suddenly the words start to blur. Your eyelids feel like they've been fitted with lead weights, and that email you were about to send feels like it requires a PhD to finish. You aren't just tired, you're fading. And the only thing your brain is screaming for is a double espresso and a massive chocolate chip cookie. Why does this happen so consistently to millions of people? Is it just a lack of willpower, or is there something deeper happening under the hood?
It's fascinating because we often blame our character or our workload, but what you're describing is almost always a biological protest. We're talking about the blood sugar roller coaster. Most people think blood sugar is only a concern for people with diabetes, but in reality, glucose is the primary currency of human energy. It powers your brain, your muscles, and your nervous system. When that currency becomes unstable, your entire experience of the day, your mood, your focus, even your patience starts to crumble.
So when we hit that afternoon wall, it's not necessarily that we're out of gas, but rather that our fuel delivery system is malfunctioning?
Exactly. Think of your body like a high-performance engine. If you flood that engine with high-octane fuel all at once, you don't just go faster, you risk stalling out. When we eat, especially those quick-hit carbohydrates or sugary snacks, our blood glucose spikes. In response, the body pumps out insulin to move that sugar into our cells. But when that spike is too sharp, the body overcorrects. It's like slamming on the brakes at a red light instead of gently slowing down. You end up with a glucose crash, and that's the 3 p.m. fog you're feeling.
It's wild because we often set ourselves up for this failure before we even get to the office. I'm thinking about the classic modern breakfast, a sweetened latte and maybe a pastry, or a bowl of processed cereal. We're essentially starting the roller coaster at the highest peak possible, aren't we?
You're hitting the nail on the head. We've been conditioned to think of breakfast as a sugar-loading event. When you start your day with refined carbs and zero protein or healthy fats, you're creating a massive glucose spike within 30 minutes of waking up. Your body spends the rest of the day trying to find its balance, but it can't. By the time lunch rolls around, you're already on the downward slope, so you look for more carbs to fix the feeling, and the cycle repeats. By 3 p.m., your system is exhausted from the constant oscillation.
And that's when the cravings kick in. It feels almost primal, like I'm not even the one making the choice to grab a snack. My brain is just demanding it.
It is primal. When your glucose drops rapidly, your brain interprets that as a survival emergency. The brain is an energy hog. It uses a massive percentage of your daily glucose. When it senses a drop, it triggers the nervous system to find the fastest fuel available. That's why you don't crave broccoli at 3 p.m., you crave a candy bar or a soda. It's your biology trying to save you from what it perceives as a famine, even though you're just sitting in a swivel chair in a climate-controlled office.
So we're fighting a losing battle against our own evolution. But I've noticed that even if I eat a clean lunch, I still sometimes crash. Does this go beyond just what we put in our mouths?
Absolutely. Metabolism isn't a silo, it's connected to everything. Sleep is a huge factor here. If you had a poor night's sleep, maybe you were scrolling on your phone late or just couldn't drift off, your insulin sensitivity drops the next day. Your body becomes less efficient at processing glucose. You're essentially operating a glitchy version of your metabolism. Even a healthy meal can cause a disproportionate spike because your cells aren't listening to the insulin signal as well as they should.
That's a sobering thought. That one bad night of sleep can turn a healthy salad into a metabolic hurdle. And I'd imagine stress plays a similar role. We're all living in this high cortisol environment.
Stress is the silent saboteur of stable energy. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol. Evolutionarily, cortisol tells your liver to dump extra glucose into the bloodstream because it thinks you need to fight a tiger or run away. But since the tiger is actually just an angry Slack message, you don't use that extra glucose for physical activity. It just sits there, causing another spike and another subsequent crash. It's a physiological false alarm that leaves you feeling drained.
It sounds like we're trapped in a loop of stimulation. We feel a crash, so we drink more caffeine, which might spike our cortisol further, which messes with our sleep, which then ruins our glucose regulation the next day. It's an exhausting cycle. How do we actually break it?
The first step is moving away from the idea that more stimulation is the answer. We tend to think that if we're tired, we need to add something more coffee, more sugar, more energy. But true, sustainable energy is actually very calm. It's about stability, not intensity. This is where the data becomes so powerful. When you look at tools like the OXYZEN ring, you start to see the invisible threads connecting your heart rate variability, your sleep quality, and your daily energy. You might see that your 3 p.m. crash actually started with a 1 a.m. spike in heart rate or a 7 a.m. breakfast choice.
I love that distinction. That healthy energy is calm. It shouldn't feel like a jolt of electricity. It should feel like a steady, glowing ember. So, if someone wants to start flattening their glucose curve today, what are the high-leverage moves?
It's simpler than most people think, but it requires consistency. First, prioritize a savory, protein-rich breakfast. Think eggs, avocado, or nuts instead of muffins or sweetened yogurt. Second, try the 10-minute walk rule. Just 10 minutes of movement after a meal helps your muscles soak up that glucose without needing a massive insulin spike. And third, stop using caffeine as a bandage for poor recovery. If you're tracking your HRV and you see you're in the red, acknowledge that your body needs rest, not another espresso.
It's really a shift in philosophy. We've spent so long trying to hack our energy with chemicals, when the real solution is just listening to the biological signals we've been ignoring.
Precisely. We're moving into an era of health intelligence. It's no longer about guessing why you're tired, it's about understanding the narrative of your own body. Your afternoon crash isn't a mystery, and it isn't a failure. It's a data point. It's your body asking for a different kind of balance. When you provide that stability through better sleep, manage stress, and smarter fueling, the 3 p.m. wall just disappears.
It's a powerful thought to leave our listeners with. Your energy doesn't have to be a roller coaster. You can choose a steadier path. We've covered a lot today, from the mechanics of insulin to the hidden impact of cortisol, and the way technology like OXYZEN is finally letting us see the why behind the what.
It really comes down to the idea that wearables don't improve health, interpretation does. Knowing your numbers is just the beginning. Changing your relationship with your biology is the goal. If you can master your glucose, you master your day.
And perhaps, once we stop fighting these internal fires every afternoon, we'll have the mental space to actually focus on what matters. Thanks for diving deep into the science with me today. It's been an eye-opener.
My pleasure. Let's hope the next 3 p.m. is a lot more productive for everyone listening.
To everyone out there, take a look at your breakfast, take a walk after lunch, and remember that stability is the ultimate performance enhancer. This is OXYZEN Health Intelligence for a more balanced life. We'll see you in the next episode.